In this inspiring tale, a young man named Ananda seeks wisdom from Gautam Buddha to understand the suffering in the world. Through Buddha's teachings, he learns that true happiness comes not from material wealth, but from inner peace, compassion, and contentment. This story reveals the path to ending suffering. Once upon a time, in a serene village nestled among lush green hills, lived a young man named Ananda. He was kind-hearted, curious, and always eager to learn about life's deepest truths. Despite his humble background, Ananda was respected by everyone in the village for his wisdom and gentle nature. However, there was one thing that troubled him deeply: the constant suffering he saw around him. One day, Ananda heard that a great sage, Gautam Buddha, was visiting a nearby town. Buddha's teachings had spread far and wide, and people spoke of the peace and enlightenment that followed his words. Ananda decided that he must go and meet the Buddha, hoping to find answers to the suffering he witnessed. After a long journey, Ananda finally reached the town and found a large gathering of people sitting around Buddha, listening intently to his teachings. Ananda joined the crowd, eager to hear every word. Buddha spoke about the nature of life, the inevitability of suffering, and the path to enlightenment. His words resonated deeply with Ananda, but one story in particular stood out. Buddha began, "Once there was a wealthy merchant who had everything he could ever desire: wealth, power, and respect. But despite all his riches, the merchant was unhappy. He was always worried about losing his wealth, afraid of thieves, jealous of others, and constantly seeking more. His life was filled with anxiety and dissatisfaction. One day, the merchant heard of a wise man living in the mountains who could grant anyone true happiness. Eager to find peace, the merchant set off to meet this wise man. After a long and arduous journey, the merchant finally found the wise man, meditating peacefully by a river. He bowed respectfully and said, "I have heard that you can grant true happiness. I have wealth, but it does not bring me peace. Please, help me find true happiness." The wise man looked at the merchant and said, "Happiness does not come from external possessions or wealth. It comes from within. Let me tell you a story." The wise man then shared a simple story. There were two men walking through a forest. One was wealthy, carrying a bag of gold, and the other was poor, carrying only a loaf of bread. Suddenly, a fierce storm began, and both men sought shelter. The wealthy man was worried about his gold being stolen, so he spent the night sleepless, guarding it. The poor man, with nothing to fear, slept soundly, holding his bread close for the next day's meal. In the morning, the storm passed, and both men continued their journey. The wealthy man, tired and anxious, couldn't enjoy the beautiful day, while the poor man, well-rested and content, walked with a light heart. Which of these two do you think was truly rich? The merchant realized the wisdom in the story and asked the wise man, "What should I do to find true happiness?" The wise man replied, "Let go of your attachment to wealth and material things. They are impermanent and cannot bring lasting happiness. Instead, cultivate compassion, kindness, and contentment within your heart. These are the true treasures that no one can steal, and they will bring you the peace you seek." The merchant returned home and began to live simply, sharing his wealth with those in need and focusing on nurturing his inner peace. In time, he found the happiness that had eluded him for so long. As Buddha finished the story, Ananda felt a deep sense of understanding wash over him. He realized that the suffering he saw in the world was often rooted in people's attachment to material things and their desire for more. The key to ending suffering was not in acquiring more, but in letting go, practicing compassion, and finding contentment within. Ananda returned to his village with a renewed sense of purpose. He shared Buddha's teachings with everyone, and slowly, the village transformed. People began to live more simply, helping each other and finding joy in the present moment. The village became a place of peace and harmony, where suffering was eased by the wisdom of the Buddha's teachings. True happiness and peace come not from external possessions, but from within. By letting go of attachments, practicing compassion, and finding contentment in simplicity, we can end suffering and live a life of true fulfillment.